Hello. It's been a reasonably productive week. I've done some weaving, I've done some crochet, and I've done some work, like paid work, but that was boring and I don't want to talk about it. Instead, I'm going to talk about this, which didn't take forever after all. It just took most of forever. So this has been wet finished. It came off the loom Saturday night, and the wet finish has given me the exact effect I was hoping for, which is what you're looking at right now. I'm going to stand back so you can see the whole height of it. I suppose width of it really, but the whole height of it. And that has done exactly what I wanted it to do. It has drawn, no, it hasn't drawn in, it's shrunk. There's shrinkage and everything has settled. I'll show you a bit closer up so I can explain what I mean. So you can see there that these threads have pulled in together because they were floats. So they've sort of gathered up together to be friends with each other, which has given us these bands of the warp showing through. And then on the other side, it also looks amazing. I'm really excited with how this came out. When I wet finish, I'll show you the other side while I talk. When I wet finish, I usually do it by hand and then I spin it in the machine to get the excess water out. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to roll it in a towel and squeeze, and it takes a long time. So I just spin it in the washing machine. So I didn't see it properly until it came out of the washing machine spin, and I was so happy with it because look at that. It's done exactly what I hoped it would. It's come out really soft and drapey. That's my drapey test, as you may be familiar. So this is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted it to be, and I'm very, very excited, and it was worth the almost forever that it took. So I'll show you that again. Maybe I can show you the length. So the length is pretty much the length, you know, it's the same basic look across the length, but I'll show you the whole thing. And look, I'll even show you the other side. Look at that. How's that for versatility, right? Versatility and presentation skills. Put that on my LinkedIn. Don't put anything on my LinkedIn, I don't use it. Now, I also had, just let me shake the tripod gently for a second. I also had, just let me figure out how to open a bag. So I'll swap that, put that under there, put that in the bag, maybe, if that works. Yes, it's working, that's excellent. Hang that up, shake the tripod again. So this was on the little loom. Yeah, of course it was, because that was on the big loom. This came off the loom Monday, so it's not wet finished yet. I haven't even trimmed the fringe. Look at that. Chaos and pandemonium, same at the other end. Whoop, there we go, speaking of chaos. So I haven't twisted the fringe, obviously I haven't trimmed the fringe because I was kind of pushing to get this off the loom for a reason which I will show you shortly. But this is the grey and yellow, as you can see. Apparently my legacy now is a yellow stripe. Somebody said, I can't remember who, I'm so sorry. It was one of my regular commenters, maybe Katie, said that it looks like a school uniform. And I can really see that it does. It's the grey V-neck school uniform with the 2 gold bars. Anyway, that is off the loom, as you can see, because I'm holding it up. It's come out quite long. When I warp up the little loom, things come out really long, and I don't know why that is, other than I warp them up really long. That would be logically it. So that needs a wet finish, at which point it will bloom a little bit and fill in these gaps. I'll show you close up, and soften a little bit. This is Bendigo Wool & Mill's classic 8-ply in 2 silvers, no, a silver and a grey, and the yellow, which is I think is marigold, but I can't swear to it. So that will have its fringes sorted. Now I'm going to show you what's on the big loom, and it might be a little bit familiar to you. Now this might look exactly like the one I just showed you, but it is completely and obviously different. Yes? No? Okay, so here's the one I just showed you. This one's a little bit narrower, so the stripe balance I feel is better. I'm not unhappy with my stripes on this one, but I do feel like they're a little bit too spread out. But this balance I think works better. The other difference is that this yarn is Bendigo Wool & Mill's classic 8-ply in silver twist, and I'm using that for the weft, whereas on this one I used it for the warp. So the main difference is visible probably on the yellow stripes. So the other one is Bendigo Wool & Mill's classic 8-ply in grey, but the fleck is going in a different direction, which has made all the difference. I know it looks almost exactly the same. I just wanted to see how different it would be, and the answer is not very. You can see the dark, oh, I'm out of shot there. You could see that if I wasn't out of shot. You can maybe see the dark flecks on the yellow stripe here that are not present on this one because the yarns are flipped. And the fringe, of course, will... Oh, that's very good. Well done. The fringe, of course, will be a plain grey instead of a twist. But overall, yes, okay, it is basically exactly the same. The little loom currently looks like this, and if you look really closely, like if you really look, you might be able to tell it's off center slightly. There's two reasons for that. First, I'm lazy. Second, it was intended to be wider. However, I changed my plan, because why would I stick to a plan that I had made? Where's the fun in that? So this yarn is Flame by Changling Coloured Yarns. It's, as you can see, the oranges, reds and yellows on a black base. There's the black base there. And this is a colour repeat all the way through the yarn. So what I wanted to do was warp it up so that all of these colours lined up, and I had patches of the colour in the black. So it would be a stretch of black, then the colour, then black. And I lined it up so that there were two repeats of the colour, and I started to warp that up, and I was looking at it and thinking, it's nice, it's great, the colours are fantastic, as you can see, fantastic colours, and against the black, amazing, but it wasn't really particularly dramatic. So I decided to do 3 repeats of the colour, which meant that it came out very long. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if this is over 3 metres. I didn't measure it, I don't do that. But I think it is going to be about 3 metres or more, which means, of course, that it's narrower because I've used more yarn for the length than I had for the width. My other problem, not that it was a real problem, was there was a manufacturer's knot in it, which is not Melissa's fault, who dyes the yarn, because she doesn't spin the yarn. She buys it and dyes it. Oh, that's a good tagline. So I cut around that. So I did actually have a little bit of extra width, about that much extra, from this little cake that I had left over, but I couldn't get it to line up. And I tried many times to get the colours to line up with that sort of inclusion yarn, and it just didn't work. And I ended up thinking, well, I could leave it and just have it like that one strip out of kilter. And I was trying to decide if that was going to annoy me, and I decided that it probably would. So I thought it might be better just to have a very long, narrow scarf, because you can wrap a narrow scarf around your neck a few times, than to have something that was going to irritate me. So I ended up removing that extra bit. And so the lazy comes into the fact that I could have shifted all of this over to the centre, but I couldn't be bothered, so I didn't. So it is very skinny. I mean, that's not even, I would say that's maybe 4 inches, perhaps. Now for the weft, I've got this, which is Bendigo Woolen Mills, of course, classic 5-ply this time. And I bought this for something, and I can't remember what I bought it for, so I'm using it for this. This colourway is called Charcoal, so it's not a true black, or even a black at all. It's a very dark grey, which I think is working quite well against the black. I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point because it is quite new on the loom. There's my hem stitching. So yes, we'll see how that gets on. It's going to take a little while, I think, because there's quite a lot of length. Width, no worries. Length, heaps. Look how thick that is. Oh, you can't see. Look how many cardboard strips I've got in there. I had to break out my second packet. This is so long. The loom's handling it beautifully though. So that is on the little loom. I've been excited about this one for a while, about this yarn. I've been looking forward to using it, and I did decide that I would use it after I'd finished the big order that I'm doing, the last piece of which I believe is on the big loom that I just showed you. So I decided to go ahead and warp this up. Now I probably won't weave anything on this until I've got the piece off the big loom, because I'm being very strong, very strong. Now, the last thing I have to talk to you about is crochet. So I'm going to put this loom down and pick up my crochet, and it's going to be very smooth, and there's probably going to be a little bit of an edit because it never goes as smoothly as I would hope. So let me go over here. Okay, that was a really smooth edit. You didn't notice a thing. So this is the Rocker Little Sweater that I've been working on for, I think, 4 months. I don't know. The rounds are taking a long time for me at the moment because I'm a slow crocheter, and there's a density of stitches. Sounds good, doesn't it? So is that the top? That's the top. So there's the top, and there's the bottom, and I'm into the sort of fancy outer rounds now, which have little cluster stitches. So this is just the very beginning of these fancy rounds, little cluster stitches there. They're not cluster stitches. It's 4 V stitches with chains in between. I'm going to call them clusters because apparently that's what I think they are. So what's forming here is, let me see if I can hold this up in a way that is useful and helpful. There we go, maybe. You might be able to see, maybe not. You will be able to see in a couple of rounds when it's more obvious. But this section here, this solid section, is going to form a triangle to a point, and then these little fluffy bits, the clustery bits, which aren't clusters, but I'm going to call them that, are going to form a triangle in the inverse. Did that make sense? Probably not. It'll make sense when I show you it, which will be, you know, it's probably not going to be any clearer next week because these rounds are taking me a long time. But that is what I have for you this week. Some weaving, some crochet. I am doing a lot of yarn crafts at the moment. I am looking forward to getting the sewing machine out. I don't know when that will be. At some point in the future, I will do some sewing. Do you remember when I used to do sewing? Oh, good times. Okay, you have a lovely rest of your week. Start next week in a lovely way as well. Why not? Treat yourself. And take care of yourself, obviously. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.